Did you marry the right guy? Really? I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. And I see on social media, there's all these different tests you can take or these psychic people who will sketch your soulmate. Did you marry your soulmate? Because if you didn't, you're missing out, right? Surely there's a better life waiting for you somewhere else with some other guy who's going to love you better, who's going to appreciate you more, and who's going to give you all the things that you need, right? We all ask ourselves that. We reach a point, and sometimes we make the decision, yeah, we married the wrong guy, and we end it, and we have to start all over again. And then we find this wonderful new guy. And chances are, though, we're going to get to a very similar point in our relationship as we did to our first guy. I'm speaking from experience. I am not perfect. I have been married twice. My first husband, it was a shorter marriage. And thankfully, there was no children involved to make that more challenging for everybody's hearts. But still, since I have learned these various relationship tools that have transformed my marriage, I wonder, could I have made it work with a guy number one? Could I have used these principles and made a happy life? Because I'm so invested in my current marriage, I don't entertain that question a whole lot because there's no point in it. I am radically happy in my current marriage. And we have built a life together with 6 children and 2 dogs. So, yeah, but that's the question, right? So many of my girlfriends wrestle with this as well. So, woman to woman, let's talk about it. Did I make the right choice? Life's not fun anymore. Maybe the romance is dead and there's no affection. Do you feel like roommates that you're just existing together? You're like barely even high-fiving each other out the door as you run errands, run kids' places, you go to your meetings, you pick up food for dinner. And maybe you sit across the living room together while you're both on your phones and you fall asleep at different times. Maybe that's life. Maybe he just doesn't put any effort in and he's boring or maybe he's bitter and critical and negative and like that. Did you know in every single one of those situations you can actually turn a marriage around? It's shocking because believe me, I was there. We've been married for 20 years and I have not been a saint. Okay. And my husband hasn't been one either because we are imperfect people. And that is wonderful. But in that time, I mean, when we are not at our best, and when are we really at our best for each other? We're at our best at the beginning of a relationship. When we really want this thing, when we want to sell it, seal the deal, we want to own it, knock it out of the park, pick your phrase. That is when we are really trying our best. And then after that, I think a lot of guys, they get a bad rap for like, well, I said I loved you once, or our wedding day, you want me to say it again? That silly old thing. Or, hey, I put my effort in at the beginning. I put for a girl, like I put my makeup on, I got dressed up, I was available, and I laughed at all your jokes, even if they weren't funny. At the beginning, now we're married. Now I can just be myself and I can not care and not put any effort in. And there is a sense of entitlement that we ladies have socially, it's been perpetuated that we feel like we can show up in life in our pajamas with the frickin' tiara on and get your pony and your birthday celebration that lasts a month. And that he should just be so glad to be with us. And he should want to listen to every single one of our thoughts. And well, heck, that's just what marriage is. So deal with it. If the, see, it's just like culturally, it's okay for a woman to hit a man, but it is not okay for a man to hit a woman. It's okay for a woman to have all the feelings and just vomit all over him. And that's not to say we that our feelings are not valid. And oftentimes our men tell us that they're not valid because they're not logical and their brains only really operate in logic for the most part, with some disagreement there. But the thing is that our feelings are valid, but we have to consider that we are in relationship with a different animal than us. Women and men are fundamentally, biologically wired differently. And what works for in relationship with women does not work reciprocally. It does not work with men. So this is not a beat down on women, but just a reality check that guess what? Guess what? Your husband is not your girlfriend. And you are not his guy friend. He doesn't need to affirm and snuggle and bring flowers to his guy friend. That's weird. No. But that's what we desire from him. We cannot expect them to it's like demanding the world all speaks English. And it's nice to have a unifying language. And this is not exactly a perfect metaphor, but us demanding that women speak female and that they understand and they are sensitive to everything that is female. And that is valid. And we need to have that all recognized. But us, not even care to speak men. And there's been that feminist argument that, well, we've spoken men for all the eons before, and now it is women's era, and men need to bow down to us because we rule the world. Do you know that in many ways we have always ruled the world? Yeah, because men want us and we can shut them down. There's all sorts of ways that we have power that we have been told that it is not so. Actually, the truth is that we have so much more power and influence than most men do. And it's crazy. That may be for another topic, but the point is, what is the point, right? My point is that we need to consider men's feelings. That just because they're not sharing them all the time doesn't mean that they don't have feelings or considerations. And oftentimes what that does for us is they're not talking about it, so we don't know. And we have not learned the skills, the tools that we should have been taught this since we were little. We should have been taught how to respect and appreciate and admire our men. We have been raised by women in general, culturally, women who hate men, who think the masculine is toxic and dangerous and should be stamped out of culture because it's big and scary, and that everything should be soft and every man should be Mr. Rogers, if you're old enough to remember Mr. Rogers. Or Sesame Street, or Daniel Tiger, that everybody speaks to each other like Daniel Tiger, or the family in Bluey. Which Bluey, can I just say how exhausting Bluey is? Bluey is hilarious and funny, but it teaches children, I think, that their parents are there to simply play with them and to stop their lives and just entertain them. And that is not reality. That's not. And I don't think that's healthy for children to then, because they're going to grow up into adults who believe that the whole world is there to serve them and their whims and to not be considerate of other people's feelings or priorities. Boy, this is not the direction I was exactly thinking that this was going to go. What I really want to say is you probably married a good guy. Most likely you did, because most men in general are good guys. When we think about the male, the human male, he is relatively simple, not meaning dumb, but he is not super complex. He has basic needs, basic desires, and basic functions. There's not a whole lot of guesswork that goes into guys. They're pretty straightforward. Women? Oh, no, no, no. We are nuanced. Everything about us is nuanced. And you know the reason? That I believe. I believe that we are so nuanced because we have to tune in to people. That's our superpower. We are the relationship masters. We get to make sure that we are nurturing at the highest level that we can nurture, whether that's our children, our relationships, uh, the society, the neighborhood that you live in. We are nurturers. Well, that's why most occupations for women have historically been caretaking of children, nurturing, teaching, nursing. That's how we're biologically wired. That is in our DNA. So men are pretty simple, women more complex with all of the feelings and all of that. So with that, most guys, with the exception of a few that are kind of broken up there, and that's a few, they're good guys. And you know what's incredible, what's wonderful is that you can have a happy marriage with a good guy. But oftentimes we get breakdowns. And I want to go into that. Like, where is it? Why do we have these relationship breakdowns? And what can we do about it? Let's fix it. Let's get happy again. I mean, are you tired of being unhappy? I was. I was desperately tired of being unhappy all the time, of feeling ignored. And like, I felt like none of my needs were being met. But I did not realize that there were things that I was doing that was creating that was causing him to want to distance himself, to want to ignore me, to not want to engage and be connected, spend time with me, even hold me. Like there were things that I was doing. I was completely oblivious. And I truly did not believe that I had any problems with this. And it was all him. That wasn't the case, but I didn't know. So let's get into how do you know? What should you be doing? The miracle that saved my relationship, that can save your relationship too. Even if you're married to someone that you think, like, you know what? The guy is so negative. He's so grumpy. He's just like, we have nothing in common anymore. When I learned how to lean into my femininity, to lean into my feminine strengths, to soften, to understand what in the world surrender meant. Bear with me, because that's a scary word to us girls, especially when we don't feel safe or loved or, contained in our marriages. So hold on, we're going to get to surrender in just a minute. But when I would learn to lean into our differences and the polarity between a man and a woman, and I took care of myself, and I learned radical self-responsibility that, you know what? It's not his job to make me happy. Nobody can make me happy. No one, no circumstance, nothing can make me happy. Happiness is not a permanent state. It is a moment by moment choice. It is a state of mind. It's a decision. So, realizing that it's not his job to make me happy, it's my job. Oh my gosh, I've dropped the ball on myself. On that responsibility. How do I even begin? How do I start taking care of myself? How do I make sure that I'm getting my needs met? Radically changed my life. So here are the 3 things that I gave my husband. Like, not a tie. It's not Christmas. Anyway, he doesn't wear ties. I gave him, for the first time kind of since we were dating, it seemed, I gave him respect, which is the lifeblood of every man. Our men need to feel that their woman respects them. If they feel like we disregard them, that they're idiots, that they're stupid. It's like, I absolutely hate the 90s dad that has turned into like just the stereotype of the dad now, where he's a bumbling buffoon, or he's either overbearing, totally overbearing, or he's a total limp noodle who's a bumbling buffoon. No, no, like everybody's loves Raymond. I mean, the guy he was a funny Raymond was a funny every man in a way, but his wife just was always critical. She was never admired him, never gave him, but just she was the smart one and he was the ninny. And it's not that it should be reversed. It shouldn't. We should Everybody gets respect. Everybody gets respect, but what we don't understand as women is how big of a deal respect is to our men. This goes for our boys too. You're raising boys, I'm raising boys. Respecting them, showing them respect, huge. I mean, I didn't even know what that looked like. Like, what does it mean to respect? I really don't feel like I had that modeled for me well at all growing up. And I didn't have anyone nearby in relationship to say, like, oh, that is how you treat a man. Do you know? Just like men get hammered all the time about how you treat a woman. This is how you no, 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 we can't say those things anymore. We can't do those things anymore because that's disrespectful. Girls, we don't know the first thing about how to be respectful to our men. We are not shown that. So it's a really huge deal. No wonder so many guys are just even withdrawing from relationships total. For one thing, they're not even learning how to be men. Secondly, being a man is not a supported thing in this world. Our men are starved for what really nourishes and feeds a man. A good, healthy man. Girls, we swoon when we see a strong, healthy man. I have not seen the show. I've seen clips, I've seen social media, little posts about it, but the show Yellowstone and Kelly Riley's guy who plays her husband, I have seen that apparently the world thinks women kind of swoon over this guy who's ruggedly handsome, but not, you know, in a knockout gorgeous way, but he just has this quiet strength and he knows how to deal with her and put her in her place. Again, I haven't seen the show, so who knows? Could be talking about nothing. But the point is we want men. And we are all complaining about it. Where have all the men gone? There's no men around. Well, they're not being nurtured and they're not being raised and they're not being trained. So let's give our guys what they desperately need: respect, gratitude. That's the second thing, giving him gratitude. You know, he may not be doing all of the things that you want him to do, but you can certainly thank him for the things he is doing. How is he showing up in life? Even if it is something simple, like maybe all he does in your household is take out the trash and maybe he pays a bill. You know, thank him that you don't have to do that too. It's incredible when we start showing our men respect and give them gratitude, they just come into themselves and they start walking taller and they start just feeling a greater sense of self. And it starts to reflect in so many areas of their lives and in your relationship. Thirdly, the third thing that I started giving my husband was appreciation, letting him know. So the gratitude is one thing, like, hey, thank you for doing that. And then I appreciate it. Gosh, I appreciate your presence because without you here, I'd be scared at night. Like that may seem like, oh, that's so small. Or maybe even don't even feel that way. Pick something different. But the more that we can appreciate, have gratitude for, and respect our men, that's the turning point. And so I really had to examine in myself what my issues were about why I wasn't respecting him, why I wasn't showing him gratitude, why I was being so critical of him. Honestly, it's a self-reflector, right? We are a mirror. Other people are mirrors of how we are seeing ourselves. And even though I thought I was doing everything right and I was being the perfect wife or, a great woman. When I held up the mirror, I realized I was very critical of myself. And it's more comfortable to put that critical eye on the other person, especially the person that's with you the most, that's got the closest relationship with you. We do that to our spouse, we do that to our children. It's really awful, isn't it? It is sad how we are the roughest with the ones that we love the most because it's like, well, they can take it. I don't have to be perfect for them because what are they going to do? Run away? And well, yeah, they could. It's so sad, but it's so true. All right. So here's what, after I started giving him those three key things, respect, gratitude, and appreciation, I started seeing in a very short amount of time that he began to give me what I was starved for. And that was affection, attention, and more of what I wanted. Just desires of my heart. He started giving those things to me because another reason why did you know that our guys are going to stop giving us gifts or those words of affirmation or those things that water us, our what is equivalent to respect to us, that adoration and love? When we continue to show them that they cannot win, he gives you flowers. Oh, thank you. Oh, these are roses, and roses, they die like within 4 days. Yet, carnations, they can last 2 weeks. Oh, do you know what just happened? You thought you were sharing helpful information for maybe, hey, next time, if you want flowers to last, because I like flowers that last, maybe you could get me carnations. And instead, what happened was you took away all incentive for him to bring you flowers ever again because you gave him a red light. He lost. Sorry, that wasn't good. Red light. That wasn't your intention, right? Oh my gosh, there were so many times that I was giving my husband a red light when he was trying to make an offering to me. Whatever it was, it just, oh, thanks, but that wasn't quite the right thing. And that hurts a guy's pride. Pride is I don't think pride's a negative thing necessarily. It can be, pride comes before the fall, not the spring. Anyway, mom jokes. So when we turn that around and we are gracious in our acceptance of his offerings, whatever they are, whether if he offers to wash the dishes, but he loads them in a way that you're like, what moron would load the dishwasher like this? The one you married. But you know what? He did the dishes. So you have two choices. You can say, "Oh, thanks so much, but I like to put the plates this way, and then the cups they go here, and the spoons just want to give you instruction for, next time." We don't see that as a negative thing. We see that as like it's a teaching moment, right? I would do this for my children. Oh, actually, honey, this is more efficient. This is the way I like to do it. No. No, 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 no. Stop yourself. Stop yourself before it exits your mouth. You say, "Oh, babe, thank you so much for doing the dishes. I really appreciate it." Let him do the dishes however he wants to do the dishes, even if it's not what you think is the best way to do it. If he wants to drive, if he's driving you somewhere, you guys are going out together, don't interrupt his driving and say, "Oh, you're not going to take a right here?" I always do, and it saves like 5 minutes. You're going to get stuck behind all these lights. Stop it. Stop it. Respect that he is a grown man who has driven before quite successfully without you giving him constant directions. It's amazing. They they really don't need our help. And it's hard. It's really hard sometimes to hold yourself back from, "I'm just trying to help." That was one of the things I thought I had got all these marriage relationship things down pat, but we were still fighting. And I couldn't figure out why. Or all of a sudden he'd flare up and act like a jerk. I was like, "What? Why?" And generally it was because I was being helpful. Just wanted to tell you a better way or the way that I like to do something, and just in case. Instead, when I should have just said, you know what? This is his job. I'm going to let him make those decisions without constantly questioning or criticizing. It blew my mind when I learned these things. And it's so sad because it's so simple and so obvious once it's pointed out that, like, oh, yeah, I would hate that if someone did that to me all the time. If I was driving, so this is my classic example that just speaks to my heart is if I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner and if he comes up and says, "So, is this what you're making for dinner? You're sure? Like the sauce is this how you want to season the sauce?" Uh, because we got a whole spice cabinet, and what I normally like to do is I like to add. I would want to elbow him out of the way and say, "Dude, you cook dinner then. Fine, you do it." So if he whether he's mowing the lawn and you don't like the way he mows the lawn, unless you'd like to mow the lawn, you say thank you. Just say thank you. And you know what you can do is say, "Oh, I really love having my fence like it all trimmed or whatever." Like if there's something that's bothering you that he's not doing, and to you it's a big deal. All what you can do is this wonderful, wonderful trick where you just say it. Say what you would like, but you don't demand it. You don't say it snarky. You don't throw attitude. You just say you're genuine like a little girl would say to her daddy. I would really love whatever it is. And that's it. That was a wonderful, wonderful tip that I learned from the book, The Empowered Wife by Laura Doyle. I will link in the show notes because I think it's a required reading for any woman in a relationship or about to be in a relationship. It's just how you relate with men. So much logic, so helpful, so supportive. So, being able to state that, then he will get to consider, oh, I could do that. The more times you help your guy win with you, the more you're going to get the things that you're asking for, the things that you want. It's really amazing how that works because remember, guys are simple. They are wonderfully simple. They just need to know what you want. And you need to be able to help them win. Okay? Not constantly criticizing, not saying, "Oh, good effort, but not quite." Let him let him believe that he knocked it out of the park. Let him know that he can make you happy because he's going to keep trying more and more. You're giving him green lights, he's a go. But it's when we start withholding respect, when we start being lazy, I think, and when we withhold gratitude and appreciation, that then they lose their motivation. They're not motivated to give you the things that you want because they can't win. So they're going to throw up their hands and they will retreat or they will become angry and critical and bitter. So, guess what? If you are living with a man who has withdrawn and there's just nothing there, or maybe he's turned and he's got claws out and it's like everything seems to be a fight with him and he's just angry, guess what? Both of those can be totally turned around. It's miraculous. I really want to encourage you because I thought that it was over for us. I've thought that. And look, it's like no matter how hard I try, I just can't seem to be happy. Surely someone else can love me better or more. But I honestly feel like if you guys had a connection at the beginning, at some point, if you had a spark at some point in your relationship, that spark, and I am living proof of this, our relationship has completely been rekindled and we know how to do this. We know how to keep it going now. We have the tools, and I'm so passionate about sharing that with women because so many times we end up in the same place, different person, thinking, if only I had a guy who would this, that, or the other thing. When really, If only we understood the relationship tools that are provided for us, that we weren't taught, that we really should have been taught. So let's change it. Let's start teaching our daughters. Let's teach each other. Let's be sisters sharing this information of how we can better love on our men so that then we can receive everything that we want. And it's not just about, okay, oh, good. Well, let me make my Christmas list because I have a lot of things that I want and I want him to give it to me. It's not that. It is really, really what we want, girls. Don't we want to be just adored like we are the only woman in the world, that we are his queen? Don't don't you want that? Don't you want him to go, just, you take my breath away. I can't believe I am with this woman. What can I get you? What do you want? And for you, um, let me think. I think we all want that. I mentioned surrender earlier on, and that is the key to our feminine essence. And I used to be really afraid of that word. I hated that word. I thought it was a weak biblical word, like something that was so antiquated, that had nothing to do with, like, no, 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 we are evolved women. We are far over being submissive, surrendered. Oh gosh, really? You're going to go with that word? That even when they would bring it up at church when I was growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, and the pastors would tiptoe around that word about what does it mean to submit to your husband. And it's like, we just don't want to ruffle any feathers here. Yeah, it's a very charged word. Surrender. But guess what? It is where our greatest strength lies because it is the essence of femininity. Here's the thing. We need to know that we are safe. We need to know that it is safe in order to surrender. Otherwise, we are constantly on, just like an animal in the woods. So our golden retriever, Winnie, is about to give birth any day now, any moment. I keep looking for the signs, and she looks like a goat. She is so nice and beautifully wide. She's so cute. But you know, when when a mama is about to give birth, she needs it to be quiet and almost like she needs it to be safe. A safe place is there's no loud noises and it's contained. You feel it's your den. And we need that as WIP to be able to surrender into that moment of birth. When a woman is birthing, she is at her most vulnerable that she ever will be in her life. She is basically out of commission, fully focused on inviting this human being to enter the world. If she is thinking about, is she safe? Is she secure? Is there someone with a knife that's about to get me? Did you know that baby's not going to come out? Basically, the human body will shut down contractions and stop the birth. That's why I believe a lot of women have the births that take forever. Or contractions have stopped and you're like, is this ever going to happen? Oftentimes it's a woman who is not in a secure, safe place where she feels she can completely surrender in that moment. You have to know that you are safe if you are going to surrender. And a lot of times we don't feel that way. Maybe you have a man who wasn't raised to know what it's like to contain a woman, to help you feel. Okay, so if you haven't heard of the term containment, that was introduced to me through Rupani and his work. I will link also in the show notes. And Kelly Brogan, who I will also link in the show notes, in their work, talking about like what is a woman needs to feel. It's the safety, security thing. But a fun word to use is containment. Because with that, you feel like you have walls to push, we need to feel that containment. Otherwise, it's like we're water and we're just a puddle everywhere. We're just everywhere. But if we have that space, that sense of security, and I know where my boundaries are, and this person holds me in it, and it feels so good to. We're going to talk in an upcoming episode about the importance. Okay, careful here, girls. I'm going to say something very controversial. The importance of a woman knowing who she belongs to. You may not know that that is actually something that you generally really, really desire deep down in your heart, because we have all this cultural baggage that's just got us so messed up, upside down, confused, unhappy, depressed, angry. Yeah, honestly, poor men these days. Who wants to be married to a modern woman? She's a wreck. We're all wreck. Like, really? Because we don't know this stuff, huh? If we knew how to treat our men and they reflexively, I saw this happen within days. My husband, who would not even go on. I love my husband so much, but in this moment in time, in this part of our relationship, he didn't want to spend any time with me. He wouldn't even go on a date with me. I was like, "What? Are you what?" But he was not. I was repelling him through all of my behaviors because I didn't know how to give him what he really needed. Oftentimes we think, guys, they say, oh, a key to a man's heart is through his stomach or his pants. And, you get those two things taken care of and you're like, well, whatever. I mean, he's not making demands about all the things he needs. He's just he goes to work and he comes home and he sits on the couch. He looks at his phone and he drives the kids. He does what I tell him when I nag him enough. And that's my guy. No, no. When we treat our husbands right, we give them what they really need, they start showing up in life. They are become our heartthrobs. It's incredible how when we embody our feminine and we soften into that surrendered state and we allow ourselves to be fully female. And I'm not talking about bitchy. I'm talking about the beautiful, when you think of the female essence, when we allow ourselves to come into that and say, this is who I am in my heart. I'm allowed to be this soft, gentle, beautiful, powerful female person. When we can go into that, our men they want to step up. They want to surround you with safety. It is beautiful. And we are going to talk more about how to come into our feminine. I actually am going to run a 4-week course on coming into your femininity. We're going to talk about all the things about how do we soften? How do we get comfortable with being a woman? You may have been raised to actually kind of fear being a woman, that being a female wasn't a safe thing, that if you dressed up and showed your female figure and your form, that you would be men would come and attack you or something like that, that being girly wasn't safe. We're going to step into our girliness. We're going to luxuriate in what it means to be a woman. And it doesn't just mean looking like a woman. For some reason, the trans people believe that all they have to do is put on a wig and makeup, or not even a wig, just makeup and a dress, and they're a woman. No, no. There is so much more to the essence of being a woman. And we need to be able to walk into that, to know what it is like to love ourselves as women, to welcome that femininity into our lives. And then, after we've changed our self-perception and our beliefs, how do we walk in the world in a way that is softer, that is more surrendered, that is just so alluring? And not just like to be overtly sexual, but gosh, there's something just intoxicating about a woman who is owning herself, who comes into a room and you see her in her femininity. And I think, like, isn't that why when we were little, we loved princesses? They were the essence of femininity. They were soft. They were gracious. They were beautiful. We can be that. We can, let's get in touch with our inner princess. I just want to host 4 weeks where we're going to meet, we're going to do Zoom calls, and weekly we'll have email and journaling prompts, and a time for question and answers, and really get to embody our feminine and hear from other sisters that are on that same journey. Make connections, make friends. So that's what I'm going to be offering soon. If that's something you're interested in, look in the show notes and subscribe to my newsletter so that you can find out more information as that course gets closer and get on the wait list. So girls, did you marry the wrong guy? Probably not. That's the great news. The great news, even though, you know what, it's in our disposable culture, it feels so much more comfortable to say, yeah, let's just scrap this one. Let's start over. Fresh piece of paper. Let's go. I learned my lessons. No, not really. Not really. Learning these relationship keys is fantastic. I highly recommend you go out and buy Laura Doyle's book, The Empowered Wife, because it is an eye-opener. And if you experiment with the principles that she talks about, the relationship principles, you're going to see a fundamental change, not only in your heart and in your happiness level, because don't we all want to be happy? Yes, we do. But you're going to see a radical change in your man as you start applying these principles to your relationship. It's not just a game changer, it's a life changer. So you can save your marriage. You can resurrect the flame that you thought died years ago. If you are living in a roommate relationship now with the man that you were originally madly in love with, you can get that madly in love with back. And that's not a social media hype promise. It's what happened for us. And I really thought, there have been several times that I thought, and so did he, that we were just beyond repair. Can't fix this. This was, oops, I guess we were too rash and in making our decision to get married. But no, I recognize that as I learned these things and I applied them in our lives, this man who wouldn't go on a date with me will snuggle me. He will give me the things that I ask for. When I need something from him, if I need affection or him to listen, and I know how to ask for it, and he is so willing to provide that. I see now so many ways that I was being loved that he were in his own language, a way that a man will love, that I wasn't recognizing that that's love. That's love. He is loving me. And I thought it was all gone. Girls, I know that, don't you know that when you are in a bad relationship or a bad place in your relationship, everything is Mordor. Everything is Mount Doom. It is all dark clouds and hopelessness and this oppressive feeling over your heart. Everything. But when you are in this great, beautiful place with your relationship, oh my gosh, it's rainbows and puppy dogs and candy. And it's just amazing and wonderful because we are relational creatures. And especially as women, we are relationship masters. And we need our relationships to be feeding us, to be happy. So my deepest wish for you is that you find that happiness in your relationship again, that you get to that place where you feel like a queen. You are that princess. And it is a good thing to be a queen and to be a princess. It's a great thing because queens and princesses are also strong. They're not just, fainting when they see spiders or screaming when they see mice. Cinderella never screamed when she saw mice, I tell you what. And sorry, sidetrack. My brain. Let's give that gift to ourselves of having a happy relationship by applying these principles. Okay. I can't wait for next week. It's going to be exciting. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really, really, really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, if there's anything you want to share, you just want to have a girlfriend bounce back and say, hey, I see you, I hear you, feel free to email me at wholewomanawakening@gmail.com. Like I said before, you can also subscribe to the newsletter. It's where I send reminders of podcasts and also what's coming up, how we can be connected, courses that I have that will be running, and some freebies that I have that I'm really happy to share. So you can click the subscription for that in the show notes below. And also, if you want to support the show, I'd be so delighted for you too. You can click the link for Buy Me a Coffee. It's just a website that helps to collect offerings to support the show. And I appreciate every little thing helps, and it means a lot. But thank you. Share this with a friend. If you have someone who's struggling in their relationship, who needs some encouragement, who feels like their marriage is dead, dry, boring, or just plain awful, pop this over to her. I would love for her to be encouraged as well. Thanks so much. I'll be here next week.